Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from astrolada.com, and today my guest is Vedic astrologer Parvati. Hello, Parvati. Long time no see. I'm excited that you're here with us and that you will lead us explaining in a very easy to understand for us Westerners ways, or whoever is watching us, the basics of Vedic astrology. And you chose to talk to us about something called Arudha Lagna, which would be like, what would be its translation, like a secondary ascendant, or can you tell us a bit more about it? And
Yeah, of course. I would love to explain more about it. And hi, Lada. Hi, everybody. So great to be back on your channel. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry it's been a minute, but I'm glad to be here now. Um, so Arudha Lagna is a very interesting topic that really relates to our lives very strongly. You see it in play even more so than you see your own lagna at play. Now,
the
lagna,
Lagna would be ascendant. Yes.
yes, lagna is your ascendant. And in the Vedic system, we take the lagna or the ascendant into account very strongly. Now, just a bit of quick background. Why is that? Right? Because the sun, even though the sun is what gives us light, it's what gives us life, right? It signifies our soul, right? But the sun, if we want to look at you personally, is in one sign for 30 days, right? So it's a bit too broad for us to really pinpoint you and your tendencies and your personality and your karmas, your life. So we take into the account the moon, which symbolizes our minds, which is very important. Minds, emotions, nourishment, perception. And the moon is very, very important in that what we perceive becomes our reality. Now, the mind plays a big role in this special lagna known as the Arudha Lagna. But more importantly than the mind, we look at the ascendant because the ascendant changes signs every 2 hours. The moon still stays in one sign for 2.5 days. It goes through one nakshatra or fixed star per day, but still that's quite a long span of time, right? So the lagna changes every 2 hours. So this is what identifies us, right? It's the rising on the eastern horizon. It identifies our bodies, our strengths, our the way we come out into the world, right? So we all identify with our lagna or rising, but how other people see you and the way you project yourself into society is not the lagna. Only you know, right, how you are. But in order to see yourself, what is needed, right? You can't see yourself. So, in order to see yourself, we need a mirror. And so, this mirror, right, is basically how the Arudha Lagna functions. It is how you relate to the world. It is how not only you're perceived by others, but how you're treated in the world. So you might think of yourself as XYZ, right? But yet other people are treating you in a way that doesn't align with how you see yourself. And it happens quite often. And the thing is that over time, because what you perceive, that mind, right? The mind is associated with the goddess, right? The goddess is known as one of the names for the goddess is Mahamaya, right? Maya meaning illusion. So even though you know yourself that 1-7 axis in sunrise to sunset, right? How other people interact with you, how you project yourself, into the world.
Hello, Parvati? I think we might have lost Parvati. Sorry, we're back. And so we were talking about Arudha Lagna, or this, what would be the direct translation? Arudha?
So Arudha is like the mirror in
Ah,
which you can see, where you could perceive yourself, how others see you, because you can't see yourself, right? You can feel yourself, you can know yourself, but you can't see yourself without a reflection. So that is why the moon is very important, because the moon is the perception, right? It's the reflection of how you are perceived in the world, how you are acting in the world, how you relate to the world, is all Arudha. So Arudha has everything to do with perception and Maya, right? It's very strongly connected to the goddess.
illusion.
In the Vedic system, one of the names of the mother goddess is Mahamaya, or Shakti, right? Is Mahamaya, because she creates the entire cosmos. And so Maha meaning great, and Maya meaning an illusion. So it's how we project ourselves into the world. And that's what's the most important, right? Is how you're perceived.
Mhm.
The truth doesn't matter
Yeah.
in this world.
So
It's
you
the
say that people would treat us often according to our Arudha ascendant.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
That is how we are viewed. And what happens is, it's a symbiotic relationship, right? So when you are being perceived in a certain way, you become that,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So the Aruda is very, very important to see how we function in this world. um, all the things that we are given, all of the things that come at us in a negative or a positive way, why that is. Oftentimes you feel like one way, but you're treated another way over and over and over again. And you're thinking, why is this?
Mhm.
Why are people doing this? Why they don't see me? Right?
Yeah.
That's also a big thing. Like, I don't feel seen for who I am. I feel projected upon. All of this is due to the Arudha Lagna. Now, before we get into how to calculate the Arudha Lagna, because it's quite simple and straightforward, there are some things that are important to go over with the Arudha Lagna. And one of the main things is that because this is derived from the Lagna, the three sattvic, or the three
No.
luminaries, or the three most planets come into play here, right? So we have the sun, which is the karaka, or the signifier of the ascendant, right? It's in the east. It rules us coming into this life, is breathing life into us, is giving light unto us, and we're coming in, we're being born right into this world. So the sun is the karaka, or the signifier of the lagna, or the ascendant, right? And then you have this perception effect, right? No, then you have, where is the Lord of this ascendant? So this is how you look at the Aruda. You look at what is the planet that lords your ascendant. And remember, in Vedic astrology, we don't take the outer planets, right? The outermost planet is Saturn. And also Rahu and Ketu, the nodes of the moon, are very important with the Aruda, because the moon is a perception, right? And Rahu and Ketu are the nodes of the moon. So these three planets are also very important when we assess how the Aruda is functioning. But getting back to how we calculate it. So you take the Lord, or the ruling planet of your ascendant, and you see where it's placed in your chart. So, for example, if my ascendant is Jupiter, Pisces, right? In the Vedic system, Jupiter rules Pisces. And let's say Jupiter is sitting in the second house. So we do a concept called Bhavat Bhavam, right? So second from the second, third from the third, fourth from the fourth, like this we count. So if Jupiter is in the second house, then we count 1, 2, all the counts are inclusive. So Lagna 1, second house 2. And then from that second house, we count 2. So second house 1 and third house 2. So the Arudha Lagna would fall in the third house.
Mm-hmm. So, like, for example, my ascendant ruler is Saturn in the ninth house. So I go to that ninth house, and from there I count another 9 houses, starting with the ninth as the first. So
Exactly.
counting 9 houses from the ninth is the fifth house.
Exactly.
My
You got
Arudha
it.
Lagna would be the fifth house.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's pretty straightforward. Now, there are a couple of very important rules here. So the 1-7 axis, we in Vedic astrology, we also take everything in pairs, right? So the 1-7 axis is you, like you are your rising. And then the 7th is your relationship, right? How you are relating to the world, right? Not necessarily how you're perceived.
Yes.
Okay.
How
So
you
this is known as the axis of truth. Also, because sunrise east, sunset west. This is the axis. This is not going to change. This is, set. So the Arudha Lagna cannot fall in the first house, and it cannot fall in the seventh house. Because think about it, if it was to fall in the first house, people are going to perceive you as you are.
and no one is ever perceived as there.
Never.
Uh-huh.
Right? So let's take, for example, so the rule is this: if the Arudha Lagna count, the Bhavat Bhavam count falls in the first house or the seventh house, you have to go 10 houses from there. And that's your Arudha Lagna. So, for example, my rising in Vedic astrology is Pisces. My Jupiter is from the seventh house, 7 places, right? It brings it back to the ascendant. And because it can't be in the ascendant, we have to count 10 houses from there. So my Arudha Lagna will be in the 10th house.
10 house.
Yeah. So let's do another one, Lada.
Yeah.
Let's say, again, it's Pisces or Aries or whatever, and the ruling planet is in the 4th house.
Mm-hmm.
So then
The fourth from the fourth is the seventh. It can be.
right.
So we count 10 from the seventh, it goes in the fourth again.
Yes, exactly. So this is a very, very important rule. It cannot fall in the 1-7 axis.
Perfect.
If it does,
Yes.
you go 10 places from where it falls.
Yes.
Okay? All right. So
Can I ask something? Is the sign that we look at once we count and find this Arudha Lagna? The sign,
yes,
the house,
yes,
and the
yes,
planet, everything.
and the planets and the aspects and all of that, right? So where your Lagna Lord is sitting, where the ascendant Lord is sitting, that place is known as the Paka Lagna, right? So this is where everything is very closely connected to you. And this is the Karaka, or the signifier for the Paka Lagna, is Jupiter. And then where we move to and where the Arudha Lagna shows up, that signifier is the moon, right? Because it's all about the perception. So yeah, we look at the house, right? We look at the sign. We look at the relationship with that ruler and that sign, right? Is it friendly? We look at any planets that are sitting with the Arudha Lagna. Very, very, very important. And then the most important is we look at the quadrants, because that is what is going to affect the Arudha Lagna, the perception, the most. So if you have a planet that's in a good sign, that has a good Arudha, like, okay, let's just take me for example for now, right? So my Arudha Lagna falls in the 10th house. If you're a Pisces ascendant, the 10th house is Sagittarius, right? And it's the same, it's Jupiter. So Jupiter is in its own sign of Sagittarius. So that makes that Arudha Lagna very, very strong. Like people would see me as more of a Sagittarius instead of someone who's like a Pisces, right?
Mm.
They would see me as someone who's more strong. You know, Sagittarius is this fire sign. They would see me as someone who's more righteous, who's very much like a teacher, also someone who's upholding like truth and righteousness, versus Pisces, which is very much a very spiritually oriented sign. You know, that part is just going to be known more or less to me, or people that are very, very, very close to me, like my parents or people who have known me for a really long time, right? And then you look at the quadrants to that sign of Sagittarius,
Oh, you
and you
mean like the sign opposite your Ruda Lagna in the sign that
so
the signs
you
that are
look at,
squaring it, yeah.
yeah, so you look at the fourth house,
Mhm.
right? You look at the seventh house, and
Yeah.
you look at the 10th house,
Yes.
right? These are the pillars of life, right? If you remember my last lecture, or if you haven't seen the last lecture, we talk very, very much about dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, right? So the first house being dharma, or your duty, or what your purpose in the world is. Artha is your work, 10th house, right? What you actually do out in the world to sustain yourself. Kama, 7th house, pleasure, your desires, your pleasure, your relationships. And moksha, 4th house, what liberates you. And that's including sleep. You know, when we sleep, it's a kind of a moksha, it's a kind of a liberation from this world. Excuse me. So those four pillars come into a lot of importance when we look at the Arudha Lagna. It's what sustains, what upholds that perception. So maybe you have a good Arudha, like me. Like I have a good Arudha. I have Jupiter in Sagittarius. It's strong in its own house. Maybe in the 10th from that, I have, you know, Mars, let's say. You know, Mars giving not only in the 10th house, is giving its drishti, right?
Aspect.
So when I'm there at work, people think, for example, and this is, I'm just like, you know, making it up, it's not my chart, but people think that, oh man, she's really tough. Like she's a slave driver, she's a taskmaster, you know, she's really difficult boss and really hard to work for, and always like fighting with the people that she's working for and never satisfied and things like this. So this is all going to change the way that we are received, right? From the Arudha. So the Arudha Lagna is really good to know, because then it'll start to make sense how you're treated and why you're treated the way you are.
Hmm. So, like someone might have a very difficult horoscope. They are not, let's say, they're not a very nice person, let's say. But the Ruda has Venus, for example, and good sign. And others wonder how this person is always so popular, even though they're not a good person. Or the opposite. You might be really good, kind person, but say have Saturn affecting your Ruda Lagna. And
Yes,
why is this person always getting the short stick from everyone, from others? And
yes, exactly.
okay.
Exactly. So it gives you great insight, you know, and you see what is the strongest planet in the quadrants, meaning in 1, 4, 7, and 10, right? You see what is this, and this influences how that person is perceived, right? So you look at the planet that is in the Arudha Lagna, you look at aspects, and you look at quadrants, and you have to take all of this into consideration to get a clear picture as to what's happening in your horoscope. So just really quickly, right, we can go over some of the indications of the planets in Arudha Lagna. We can also talk about the planet that gives you your Arudha Lagna, your Lagna Lord, right? So, for example, you have the moon. So, if moon is sitting in Arudha Lagna, or if moon is the Lord of your Arudha Lagna, right? Of your Lagna, then, or you're in moon sign, right? So you can be a
Oh,
very
your Arudha
social,
Lagna is in Cancer, for example.
right?
Yeah.
Or the Arudha Lagna is in any sign, but the moon is sitting with the Arudha Lagna.
Yes, is there. Yes.
Okay, so it shows someone, because the planet sitting with Arudha Lagna is going to give a stronger influence than just the sign. Of course, we take the sign into consideration, but the planets are really important, right? So, moon is someone who's very social, moon who is very connected, someone who's very connected with people, and is someone who gains some kind of fame as well. Someone people that look at and comfortable with, feel connected to. These people with moon in their Arudha Lagna, they can rise to being famous in some way, right? We have sun. Sun is someone who has a lot of authority, power, status. So somebody with sun, automatically the people are going to feel like this is a leader, this is a powerful person, this is someone who knows what they're talking about, right? Some authority there. Jupiter is someone who's seen to carry a lot of wisdom, someone who has wealth of knowledge, or also material wealth, someone who's very abundant and very giving and very knowledgeable and wise, right? The teacher, people would go to them for advice naturally. They just seem like someone who's easy to talk to, right? Venus, of course, someone who has luxury, who is an artist, who is you feel comfortable around, that you just feel attracted to for some reason, right? It doesn't have to be the outward beauty. It could be some inner pull, something about them that you're finding beautiful and artistic and comfortable with. Mercury, someone who is good at finances, someone who's good at business, someone who's a good student, who's always wanting to learn something, constantly learning different things. Jack of all trades, knows a lot about a lot of different things, right? Very good business person as well. Saturn, someone who's always suffering, who's always going through problems,
Oh.
who's always down, who always, something's always going on where it's just like they can't win. They feel sorrow, they feel defeated in life. Okay, and then we have Rahu. So Rahu now can be someone who you just feel is like, they're sus, I don't know if I completely trust this person, even though they might be like an honest person. People feel like, no, this person is like deceitful, this person, or this person can get a bad reputation, and sometimes people get bad reputations and they don't deserve the bad reputation, right? And that's Rahu, right? Because Rahu masks that true inner light, right? It adds all these different levels of shade.
Maybe
Ketu,
some candles around this person, a lot of gossip going on around them.
It's hard to have Rahu conjunct in the Arudha Lagna, or influencing the Arudha Lagna, because it can mean that you're taken down, like people that are like taken down by scandal, right? People who are seen one way and all of a sudden their careers or their reputations are ruined.
Mhm.
That's Rahu.
Wow.
This is very powerful because how you're perceived in the world, right? It makes your world in a way. So the Ruda Lagna is something very, very interesting to study. Um, we have Ketu, right? And Ketu can be seen as someone who is a renunciate or someone who is an elitist. So either someone who goes and is sort of away, like a loner or like a monk, someone who's meditating, or someone who just wants like the creme de la creme of society around them, who keeps other people away, very tight social circles, um, not open, not inclusive, very exclusive
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
of people,
Or maybe
right?
everyone thinks they're so spiritual, but they might not be.
Yeah, also possible. But usually this color, right? This shade of that planet is going to be seen.
Mhm, mhm.
You're going to feel it and see it. It's so interesting because you think, oh, I am this, right? But yet other people, and then eventually what happens, because it's a relationship, because it's a reflection, you're out in society, you are going to become that.
Yeah.
And there's even a chance that you are going to lose your lagna, your ascendant. You're going to start to see yourself as others perceive you.
Wow.
Because that's the Maya, that's the illusion of the mind.
Yeah.
Did I get all the planets? No, I did not. And then the last planet, Mars, and Mars I discussed a little bit. Someone who people are afraid of, sort of a fearful, right, kind of energy.
Yeah.
So those are the planets in the Aruda, right? But you can extend it. You can extend it to the planets that are in square to it. You can also kind of expand it to the sign as well, right? The sign is also very important. You can look at the Lord of that Aruda Lagna also and see, is it in a supportive house? Is it giving supportive aspects also, right?
Yeah. What about
That
the house, say your Ruda Lagna falls in the sixth or the fifth, or what do you like? What people see you as this house, or how exactly?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. People do. So, for in your example, your Arudha Lagna would fall in the fifth house, right? So, people would see you as someone who's very creative, someone who wants to learn, someone who's very learned, right? Someone who is very generous with their knowledge. All the aspects, all of the indications of the fifth house come into play,
Yes.
right?
That you'd act it out in this area of life only, say the fifth, but how? Okay, I understood what you were trying to say. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. So
interesting.
this is how it goes. So should we do a couple? I picked a
Yes,
couple of
yes,
charts
please, yes, please. Yours.
of famous people. I mean, we could also talk about the gunas as well, but let's go ahead. So you guys, I'm assuming everyone knows about the gunas. There's the sattvic planets, the rajasic planets, and the tamasic planets, right? So this is something to also keep in mind, because the gunas affect the mind very strongly, and Arudha Lagna is connected to the mind. So for example, the sattvic planets, right? Sun, moon, and Jupiter. Jupiter is the sustainer of life. Sun is the giver of resources, and the moon provides nurturing, and care, right? So it's Jupiter gives the intelligence on how to use these resources. So Sun, Moon, and Jupiter, you want to make sure that they're in good aspects to the Arudha Lagna, so that you get these beneficial karakas, or resources, intelligence, nurturing. You receive that from the outside, right? Then there's the Rajasic planets, or the planets that are constantly in motion and moving. And these are the planets that desire, that have ambition. Okay. So you have Venus and Mercury, right? Venus is always desiring love. Mercury is desiring business, right? So Venus, relationships, procreation; Mercury, business, financial stability. So if you have these planets interacting with the Arudha Lagna, it'll lend this flavor, right? And then you have the tamasic grahas, or planets. And this is the planets that help you transform. So, for example, Saturn, Mars, Rahu, and Ketu, right? So if you are constantly suffering, then there is a real need inside of you at one point to be like, okay, I got to change, right? What am I doing wrong? How can I grow? How can I change this? So even though they're difficult planets, they cause sorrow, they cause pain, they cause obstacles, right? It's unfair. If you have a bad reputation, it's unfair, but this makes you self-reflect, and it makes you want to change. So they're all going to work for us in a good way, right? It's just a different energy.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Sattvic planets are ruled by Vishnu. The Rajasic planets are ruled by Brahma, because Brahma is the creator. And the Tamasic planets are ruled by Shiva, who destroys. And a lot of times, like, you have to remember, we're looking at the map of our karmas.
Yeah.
So in order for us to grow, we have to destroy those things that are causing us pain, right? We have to learn how to overcome it. So in this way, these planets, I don't like seeing them as good or bad, right? They're just the energies that are lent to us. Now, that being said, any questions or anything, Lada?
It's weird. And the
Let me.
sattvic ones, they're like most spiritual ones, so you just being, or what is, how would you describe it? The sun, the sattvic planet, sun, moon, and Jupiter, they're just like what is the energy? Like Zen.
So you have this. You have all the resources, right? You're not lacking. You
Okay.
have intelligence how to use things, even if you're lacking, let's say. So
Yeah.
the sun brings the resources, right? So if you have a well-placed sun from the Aruda, you get opportunities.
Yeah.
If you let's say, don't have a well-placed sun, you don't have resources, but you have a well-placed Jupiter, then you can use intelligently your limited resources.
Yeah.
You can put the limit into good use. You have the intelligence, right? Moon, nurturing. If you have a well-placed moon, you're going to be nurtured. You're going to feel held by life. You're going to feel like you belong.
Yes.
If moon isn't in a good place, you're not going to feel that, right? So it's the qualities of what this brings, right? Venus, relationships. Mercury, business, finances, right? So it all depends. Like, even if it's a tamasic planet, but it's giving you some support in some way, you'll be able to transform that. You'll grow stronger from those obstacles.
And we're talking here those planets transforming your Arudha Lagna, meaning transforming your reputation in the world and kind of public station in the world type.
Yeah, so you can maybe not transform that, but you can transform yourself in how much it affects you. Right? At one point, let's say there's a huge scandal and some major star like the P Diddy thing. I should have brought up his chart, right? And there was this huge scandal, and it completely ruined him. So how, at some point, how much are you going to let that perception rule you? Right? There has to be some transformation happening, because otherwise it could just lead to utter devastation, and it can too. It can lead to things like people never recovering
People
if
kill
you don't have
themselves. Yeah.
those positive planets giving you some support, right? Then
Yeah.
it can lead to like never being able to overcome it. But hopefully you can. You can't change the Arudha. Actually, you can change the Arudha. The Arudha can change, but this is getting very advanced. Okay, but just to drop a little seed,
Yeah.
the Arudha can change. The Arudha can actually, because it's a reflection, and remember we look at pairs. We look at 1, 7, 2, 8, right? 4, 10, right? 3, 9. So sometimes the Aruda can change and go to the seventh house
The opposite.
from itself. Yes, it can. It can. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of all of this. It's like, okay, these are our karmas, right? So we have to deal with what the cards we are dealt with in this life, but how we relate to our karmas, right? Are we going to rise or are we going to be defeated? This can alter how things express. It's all symbiotic. So in the end, right, people always ask, oh, is it all destined or is it free will? It's both. Because we have our destiny, but we can, how we show up within that can shift the entire course of destiny, right?
Perfect. Beautifully said. Thank you for giving us hope.
Okay, let me see here if I can pull up two charts. We can maybe do three, but I have two that are ready here.
Okay.
Let me see. Only hosts can share in this meeting. I think you need to give me
Oh,
permission.
just a second. Okay.
All right. So a couple of very interesting charts we have here. Share screen. Okay, start broadcast. Let's see. I hope it works. You are sharing your screen. Okay, so uh, let's see. Here we go. Okay, can you see?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here I'm going to pull up a very interesting chart. And this is the chart of Marilyn Monroe, right? And so let me just go over. I wish I had a pointer here. I don't have a pointer on my phone. But for all of you that can see this chart, the top one that says AS,
That,
right? This is the ascendant. And the number 4 here is the sign of Cancer. So, let's go through this exercise. Do you want to go through it with me, Lada?
yes. So we're looking for the moon, the ruler of Cancer,
Yes.
in the seventh house. So we cannot leave it there. So we need to count 10 houses from the moon, starting with the
No,
house. And
you
we come
first,
to the fourth house, where
no, no, we missed a step. So first we find the moon, right? The moon is in the 7th house. Then we have to do the Bhavat Bhavam. 7th from the 7th.
seven from the seventh is the first.
Yes,
Okay. So it goes to the first house. We can't
exactly.
there. So it count 10 houses from the ascendant, and we go to the 10th house where we have Venus.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense now.
Yes. Yes. So as you can see here, Now, this gives you a great amount of depth, right, into a person, because how she really truly is this beautiful Cancer, no? She's very nurturing. She's very compassionate. She's very sensitive, right? She's very nurturing. Like the Cancer ascendants, right? They're very loving, caring, compassionate, sensitive beings. You know, Moon, it's the significator of the mother. So this is how she truly is.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, but people just saw the Venus in her.
See, look at that. Right? And not only the Venus, but that Venus in Aries, like bombshell, literally, right?
Mm.
Bombshell beauty. That Aries just like she was on fire and people couldn't get enough of her. That Mars energy just completely igniting that stardom. Now remember when we were looking at the moon, right? Because moon is the Lagna, right? The Lagna Lord, right? So that moon, what does it do? It gives fame. So when you look at it from the ascendant, that moon is in the seventh house, right?
Yes.
Fame, right? Other people, like the moon is out there.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from Arudha Lagna, it's also in the 10th house from Arudha Lagna, right?
Yes, from Venus. Yeah, from Aries.
Massive fame.
Also, we can look at the 10th from the Aruda as well.
Yeah, yes, we look at these houses. Exactly. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Artha, work, right?
Yeah.
It was her dharma. If she was born for this. If you look at the seventh house from the Arudha Lagna, though, we have Saturn,
Mhm.
right? Which is also the fourth house from the ascendant, right? Which is her inner life, her happiness. Now, this Saturn is exalted, no?
In Libra.
So her name, her fame, her reputation is going to be long lasting with the public, right? Seventh from the Arudha Lagna, seventh from any house, seventh from the ascendant is the masses, the people. It indicates fame. So it's long lasting fame, it's exalted fame. But what does Saturn bring?
Sadness, depression.
Sadness, suffering. That's right. Even though it's exalted, it's going to work in her favor. The reputation is going to last a long time. To this day, we speak. I mean, she is the bombshell sex, you know,
Oh,
symbol of the ages, throughout the ages.
wow. True. Awesome example.
Yeah, pretty incredible, right? We can also look at the other houses from the Arudha Lagna, right? We can look at the second house, like what sustains her, third house, fourth house, of course, her innermost feelings, which is that moon, right? She suffered a lot because of that. That moon, look at that. Moon is in Saturn's sign
And square,
as well.
square Saturn.
And it's in the sign of Saturn. So that also creates a a yoga, right? A connection with Saturn. When Moon is in Saturn's sign, Saturn's in Venus's sign, right? very, very powerful chart. But yet, a lot of suffering there, a lot of suffering. So let's go to the next chart. And here we have another very interesting one. And we have Adolf Hitler.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
look at this chart, right? So look again, where is the Lord of Libra?
Libra is the ascendant, so Venus is in the seventh. So
Again,
again, we count seven from Venus, we get to the ascendant.
exactly.
Can't be in the ascendant, so we count 10 houses from the ascendant and it goes to Saturn.
Right.
He's in Cancer.
Yeah.
Very bad public image.
Yeah. I mean, he is seen as someone who brings, like, what is the planet that signifies death?
Saturn.
Yeah. Right.
Hmm.
Saturn is the graveyard. Saturn is destruction. Saturn is deep, deep sorrow.
Yeah.
And it's sitting in the sign of Cancer, right?
Yeah.
So it's deep sorrow that he is seen to bring. I don't think anybody ever felt happy when they saw him coming around, no?
Hmm.
So fear, right?
Yeah.
Fear, sorrow, depression, death. So and it's very, very, very strong in the Arudha Lagna, right?
Mhm.
And then if you look at, how he sees himself, how does he see himself?
He's an
You look at,
artist, Libra. Love, kind, friendly.
right? He's an artist. He's a diplomat, right?
Maybe
Like,
he was those things for sure as well. He was a
yeah, exactly. But that's not how he's seen and that's not how he's remembered, right?
yeah. Wow. Huh?
So let's take a look at this 10th house from Saturn.
Venus,
So he
Sun.
did try to be a Venus, no? He did try and be an artist, right?
Yeah.
But different from Marilyn Monroe's, this Venus is retrograde.
Mhm.
So Marilyn Monroe's Venus was out there shining forward, and this Venus is going backwards.
Mhm.
And then we have Sun, authority with Mars, military,
Yeah.
right?
So the 10th from Arudha Lagna can show you as well of the career and your public.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
This whole study of Arudha is extremely important and very, very telling. It's almost, I mean, I don't want to say, but it's almost more important because it's how, perception is reality, right?
Yeah.
Right. So then
Now,
we have Mercury sitting there as well, no? And Mercury shows what? The business, commerce.
yeah.
And he did a lot for the country with the business, no?
Mhm.
Right? That was his whole rise
Wow.
was commerce and business, bringing it back to Germany. Right? How about this retrograde Venus? What about that? Think about that. And think about his relationships and things,
Okay.
sitting with the sun and that Mars. Right? Another difference between this chart and the chart of Maryland, they're both Venuses are in Aries, but this time Mars is with Venus.
Yeah. More cruel.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So you can see here how, these are just a couple of quick examples that I wanted to show just to give you an idea of how much insight we can get by using this.
Wow. Thank you so much, Parvati.
You're very, very welcome. And you know what? Just
I
really
started
come.
immediately watching all my kids, my husband. It's a lot of fun to look at that. It's not just fun, it's very insightful. And
It's very insightful.
people can connect with you for the Vedic chart reading. I'll put the link below in the description. Parvati makes personal readings. She also leads something like educational classes. There's
Yeah, I have a mentorship program, a 6-week mentorship program, and I take very small batches of students, or also one-on-one, where we, go through the principles of Vedic astrology and apply it to your chart, so
oh,
you yourself get the depth. And so that's a 6-week program, and I think the next one is slated to start middle of September. It depends on when people are, how many people are ready to sign up.
oh yeah, wonderful, Mentor Parvati. You make a very complex knowledge so easy to understand, and uh, definitely Jupiter is your Arudha Lagna because you're a natural teacher. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for sharing your time. And again, if anyone wants to connect with Parvati, I'll put the link below. And yeah, I can't wait to have you again.
Yeah, I'll be back soon. I won't keep
Topic.
you so long this time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lada. Bye bye.